Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that helped me build up a side horn portfolio in about 2 years. Now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about leasing and leasing CMAs. Cameron, what's a CMA? Comparative Market Analysis. Fancy way of saying, hey, what is my property going to rent for based on the other houses renting in the area? So this is not a science. This is an art more than a science. Now, what does that mean? Well, guys, everybody's going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to show you what we do and what our process is and how we pull comps so you know. But I can tell you that even from agent to agent within the same company or same firm is going to have slightly different ways of pulling this. It's an art. You know, we have a process, we have a framework that we work around. Everybody does, but you might want to, dive in a little bit, pull comps a little bit later, use houses, single story, one story, two story, whatever, pool, no pool. There's other things that you can throw in to make sure that you're having an accurate comparative market analysis, an accurate assessment of what your property is going to rent for. So I'm going to walk through what we use, and then, whether you're watching this and you're a current owner, or you're somebody looking to do your own, then you guys can have a basis of where you're going, or of what we're going to do for you, or what another agent might do. Now, if you're going to watch this and you have another lease agent or somebody that you're working with, see what their framework is. Say, hey, how are you pulling comps to tell me what this property is going to rent for? Maybe there's an agent that you're buying the property from, and they're like, hey, this is going to rent at $2,500 a month, and you go, okay, how did you get that number? What did you pull in the area? Did you just do a couple quick things on Zillow? Did you, are you actually pulling some comps together? And then can I see that report? So again, this is an art, not a science. So bear with me on this. If you see some CMA from us and it's not exactly like this, there are always some tweaking and finagling. So lease CMA, I'm going to hold it down here so you guys can only see certain ones here. So we go through all of them. So the first one we always look at is time and sold. So what does that mean? Time sold 180 to 360 days. So in the MLS, in HAR, we'll pull comps. And if you guys are trying to do this on your own with Zillow, it's very difficult. So get somebody to help you out pulling comps. You're playing with old data if you're not using the MLS. So get MLS access or have somebody else pull comps for you. When we go in there, we look at how far we want to go back. So do we want to go back 180 days, which is 6 months? Do we want to go back a year? Sometimes we can go 6 months and we have a lot of activity in the area. So we can see, oh my gosh, there were 30 or 40, 50 properties sold in this neighborhood. That's good. We just need to go back 6 months. Now, if it's a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of turnover, you might have to go back a year. So we always go back sold, what was basically sold or leased in the past 6 months to a year. The second item, and this is in no particular order, you just have little criteria that we go and fill out on our CMA or on HAR that we're stepping through. And I'll explain some of this here at the end. So the other criteria we use is bed bath count. So, and then I put plus or minus 1 here. So, it's ideal to have like for like comparison, right? If it's a 3-bedroom property that you want to lease, it would be ideal if we look at all the 3-bedroom properties. Sometimes that's just not the case. There's not good comps for that. So we might bump it up to 4. If you have 4 and all of the ones around are 3-bedroom, well, we're going to have to bump it down to 3 to do this analysis, but we might add a little bit more to rent because, hey, everything else in this area is renting at $1,500, but it's only 3-bedroom. You get an extra bedroom, so let's juice it up a little bit, maybe $1,600. That's what I mean. And the same thing with the bath count. You might have 2.5 bath or an extra half bath. So don't get too hung up on making it exactly like for like. At the end, you can do a little finagling. The next one is the area, like I mentioned. So we want to try to stay in the same neighborhood or be in an area where we're not crossing major roadways or waterways. You want to stay in the general vicinity. If you have enough activity to be in that same subdivision or neighborhood, that's ideal, but sometimes we got to kind of broaden out a little bit and look at the surrounding areas. Just make sure you're not going across major roadways like I-10, the Beltway. Neighborhoods can change very quickly in what is offered over there, HOA fees, all sorts of other things, amenities. So want to make sure we stay in that same area as much as possible. The last two are size and age. So size, I put plus or minus 20%. I'm sorry about my handwriting. And the age is plus or minus 5 years. So what do I mean by size? I mean square footage. So if you have a property that's leasing at $2,000 or 2,000 square feet, and you want to know what it leases at, we would look at comps about 2,400 to 1,600. 1,600 to 2,400 square feet. We go 20% above, 20% below. And that would give us a good range because we're not going to find an exact all properties that are exactly 2,000 square feet. Some might be 21 something, some might be 19 something. So we just kind of pull that range together and go 20% above, 20% below. Now, you might find that that's not enough. We'll have to play with that range a little bit, but that's kind of where we start. And then the last one, like I mentioned, is age plus or minus 5. I think we actually do, is it 5 years on either side? Yeah, you can do 5 years on either side. So if the property is built in 2000, we would look at properties built in 2005 or 1995 to 2005. You give yourself kind of a 10-year window there. Why do we do that? Well, typically neighborhoods are built. I mean, you can have a full neighborhood built out in 5 to 10 years. So if you are pulling the same, if you can't stay in the same neighborhood or same subdivision, you have to go out. It would be nice to have houses, your comparable, meet other comparables that were built around the same time. They'll probably have the same finishes. They'll probably be updated about the same era. They're going to have the same floor plan traditionally. So we want to keep the age so the houses are as like as possible. Again, we're trying to get almost an exact match for your property, as close as we can to see what it's going to lease for. So there's all the criteria. Again, time frame, 6 months to a year, better bath. We can go up or down a little bit. Area, neighborhood, or subdivision. Don't cross any major highways. Size, plus or minus 20%. And then age, plus or minus 5 years to give us a 10-year window. So once we put all that in, so we will go through all the criteria. We have a little map we can draw, polygon around where we want to pull the comps. And then we see what the numbers come out to be. We might have 5 comparable properties. We might have 50. I mean, it's seriously, in some of the neighborhoods in Katy that lease, they're like leasing neighborhoods, you might have 50 comps. So we might need to bump that time frame down to 6 months instead of a year. We might need to bring that down a little bit. We might need to tighten up our square footage. We might need to tighten up our bed and bath count. Once we get 5 to 10 properties that are comparable in all that, size, age, bed, bath count, area, then we can see what the properties are leasing for. So it says, okay, now we've got 5 to 10. We look at the finishes then. So we go in, okay, this property has LVP floors. This property has LVP floors. Okay, cool. This one has granite countertops in all these. Okay, that's almost exactly like our property that we're trying to pull comps for. So you select those, and then we pull. Again, we want 5 to 10, as many. We don't want too many because then it convolutes things, but we don't want so few that we can have one skew it. So we look 5 to 10 properties that are going to be a good match for this, and we average them. We have this one leasing at $1 a square foot, this one at 95 cents, this one at 105, this one at 110. We aggregate the average of those and say, okay, what is it? It's leasing at $1.07 a square foot. We take $1.07 a square foot, we multiply it by the subject property, your property, or the property you're trying to find the rent for, and we say, okay, we'll use $1 a square foot just for even numbers. $1 a square foot, it's 2,000 square feet. That's $2,000 a month. Perfect. Great. There's what your property is going to rent for. So we've pulled a property, all the properties in the area that are same size, age, area, and finishes. Now, again, if you have a pool or something, you're going to have to check that on here too. If you have something unique, you're going to want to make sure you make a note of that. If you're offering a furnished property versus not, there's other little criteria, but we're talking, in general, you're not furnishing the property. Most leases don't have pools, blah, blah, blah. So we found 5 to 10 properties that match your property we've aggregated them together, and we get a rent per square foot. We multiply that by your subject property's square footage, and now we have your lease rate. So I know that was long, a longer video on that. I hope that was helpful. Again, once we get down to those last few properties, we might, even though they meet this criteria, maybe it's super, super updated and yours is kind of the middle of the road. We'll take that out. Maybe it's, this one backs up against a lake. Yours does not. We might take that one out. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the art of it. And if we look at all the ones comparable to yours, and we see one that's leasing at $1.30 a square foot, and we see everything else is right around the $1 a square foot mark, we're going to look at that and say, why did that lease like that? Is there something that we can do to get it to lease like that? Or is it just, it's got a pool, it's got an outdoor kitchen, there's other items there that make it lease for a little bit higher that we don't have, so we want to take that out. Any features or amenities that are not like your subject property, we need to get rid of. That's our process, guys. Again, an art more than a science. You start with the process, you start with this framework, and then we kind of move things around to make sure that we're getting as accurate an assessment on the comparative market analysis as we can, so your property leases quickly and for the highest price. That's our goal. I hope that was helpful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. You guys give us a like, subscribe, share if you guys found this valuable. I appreciate it, and I'll see you all next week.